and welcome back to Python Module of the Week series. In today's episode, we are going to be diving into one of the underrated but powerful built-in module in Python, which is known as the argparse. If you ever wanted to create your own command line tool, then this module is something you would need. Argparse lets you handle command line arguments passed your Python script, just like you would do with tools like pip or git, and then how they work behind the scene or under the hood. For example, in your command line, you do stuff like pip, and then you tell it install, maybe Django or maybe Flask or whatever. So this value that you pass are some of the things that are required by these applications to run. So when you build command line applications, the argparse module allows you to easily and quickly be able to pass command line arguments to your application, and then your application in turn is able to carry out whatever tasks you ask it to perform or execute using these tools that are being passed to it. So let's try out a very quick and basic use case of the argparse. Once switching, of course, it's an inbuilt module or package, so we don't have to do any installation. All we need to do is to import our argparse, and we are ready to go. So once imported, we need to create an instance of the argparse. So I can say parser, that's a variable name, is equal to argparse dot argument parser. Okay, and then the argument parser can take an optional parameter, which is like a description. So we can add description equal to, let's say we want to make a simple calculator. Yeah, there you go. And then next is us adding the parameters this application is going to expect from the command line. So I can say parser.add argument. And so what is this argument that I want to add? Or let's say, what is the name of this argument that I want to add? So let's say this example is a program that's going to carry out some calculations with two numbers. I would like to call one of the arguments, let's say num1, and then what type is it going to expect? And of course, the type is going to be int, and then I could add also a help text that is going to be displayed when we need help, or when we run the help command in the command line and try to get more information about this very package or this very app that we're building. So let's say first number, this is what the user would get. Then we can add also the second, so we can add argument. This one is going to be num2. That's the second argument that we would be needing. The type is also integer, and then the help text is going to be a string, and we call it second number. Okay, and then so we need to collect this argument somewhere down here. So I would say args, or short for argument, is going to be that same parser that we have, and then we tell it to parse the argument it has received from the command line. And now we would have access to those arguments right here. This is I'm talking about the num1 and the num2 that would be receiving from the command line. And so for us to, let's say we want to carry out a simple addition, first result is going to be args.num1. That's for the first one, and then we would add it with args.num2, and then we also can go ahead and print the result. Let's have it in a string. So let's make it an f string. Result is, then we put our result right in there. So for us to run this application, you might be tempted to run it directly from here by clicking the run button, but you would see that we get an error and it says that the following arguments are required, num1 and num2, and that is because this argument needs to be passed through the command line, so we cannot run the application directly. Instead, we must open our terminal. So let's find our command prompt and then open it all the way from here. Okay, so I am using the presentation mode. Let me go out of the presentation mode, And there you go, we have our terminal right here, and I can go ahead and run the application. So the screen size might be very small. Let me bring it a little bit bigger. Alright, so now we are going to call our application. The name of the application is week2, but we need to say Python week_2.py, and then we have to then pass in these parameters that it expects from us. So we would not give the names of those parameters, instead we just pass value, let's say 10 and 5. So 10 would be for num1, 5 would be for num2, and we hit enter, and then we get the result to be 15. So it has successfully collected the parameters and then passed them, and we are able to carry out our addition with these parameters. Now it doesn't stop here. We only pass 2 values. We can extend the example more to kind of like select the type of operation that we want to perform, instead of just passing values and then things just happen. So we can come to this line. We can add another parameter or another argument. So we add an argument, and then this one, let's say what kind of operation we are going to add. Parameter for operation, maybe addition or subtraction, or if we want to find the product. And then we can give the choices that this guy can take. It takes a list, so we have to pass in the values. It can take add, or it can take, let's say, sub, and let's just add multiplication. We can add the division, or it's for you to add when you're coding and then you get to that place. So we can also give it a default value. That's, for example, if the person does not provide any operation parameter, then what default value do we want to perform? We want to just carry out the add, the addition. That's the default. And then just like the others, we can also provide a help text and then say, okay, operation to perform. Okay, and we are good to go. So we save the new changes. Let me zoom this still a little bit so it's visible. So what we did is we added a new argument, and it's known as operation. It has 3 choices: add, sub, and multiplication. Then we gave a default value in case it's not been provided, and then we also have a help text. So let's come back to our command prompt and try running that example and see what we're going to get. Let me also zoom this a little bit so it's visible. Now I would need to call that same program, but first thing first, let's call it with the new parameter that we've added. So after we say 10 and 5, let's say dash, since the operation is first before the 2 numbers. So let's say we want to carry out multiplication. So we'll have to say dash operation, and then what kind of operation do we want to carry out? It's sub. There you go. And it says the result is still 15. And yes, the result is still 15 simply because even though we added the third parameter for operations, we did not write the logic for the code to take care of whatever operation that we want to pass. So after receiving this value, we can then add a little bit of a check here and say if args.operation is equal to, now we can do all our checks. Add, that's if the choice is addition, then we can make it to find the sum of the 2 numbers, and then we do the elif args.operation is equal to sub, that's if it is. For subtraction, we are going to use the minus sign here now instead of the addition, and if args.operation is equal to, well, then we do the multiplication. Now we change this to asterisk. So we save the new changes, and now we can rerun our program from the command line again. So Python and then week2.py, which is the name of the file. The first argument is operation, and the value we give to it is sub, that's a subtraction, and then we give 2 numbers for num1 and num2, 10 and 5. So we get our result to be 5 because our selected operation is subtraction. Let me rerun that, and I will change the operation to more. That's for multiplication, and we get 50, which is the result of multiplying 10 by 5. And so what happens if we remove the operation parameter and just pass in the two numbers? There you go, we still get our 15 because the default value is addition. So if we don't provide any value here, then the default is going to take place. And that is it for the argparse module. This is just a very basic example, but with this you can add many more parameters and many more arguments to the command line applications, and then provide all the details that need to be captured, both the optional and required values, when you run your program in the command line. So let me know whether you would use argparse or you would use Circle, which is another module for building command line application. See you on the next one.